If it goes to plan, he'll be spending just over 72 hours in America, talking, shaking hands and seeing nothing of the country. There'll be 5 one-to-one encounters with Mr. Reagan, but he was delivered first into the clutches of the Secretary of State. His task, to offer the welcome. Mr. Gorbachev had decided to say a little more, a declaration of intent to complete work and sign an INF agreement.
At the center of our discussions with the President of the United States will be the pivotal questions of Soviet-American relations, questions of reducing strategic offensive arms.
We
have what to say to the American leaders, to the President of the United States, and we are hoping that we will hear some new words on their side.
So the third Reagan-Gorbachev summit is on course, and with it the largest peacetime security operation ever seen in the United States. For his visit, Mr. Gorbachev will be a protected species, and the outcome of his talks may well help decide how protected and secure he'll be when he gets home.
And with the Soviet leader now relaxing at the Soviet embassy here before he gets down to business with Mr. Reagan tomorrow, we'll be looking in a moment at the task in front of them. First, though, the talks Mr. Gorbachev held with Mrs. Thatcher on his way here. Charles Wheeler was at Brize Norton Aerodrome this morning.
The central band of the Royal Air Force playing the national anthem of the Soviet Union. It is 27 years since Britain was directly represented at a summit meeting of the superpowers. The last time was in 1960, and Britain has never had a seat at the top table since then. With today's brief encounter at Brize Norton, Mrs. Thatcher was taking Britain a step closer to the action. She's in a unique position to do it. She is close to President Reagan, and she has gone further than any other Western leader in her public support of perestroika, glasnost, and Mikhail Gorbachev personally. Mrs. Thatcher said today that she is not a go-between, but she must have been pleased when Mr. Gorbachev went out of his way to associate Britain and the other Europeans with the achievement of the INF Treaty he is now in Washington to sign.
Thank
you, Mrs. Thatcher.
Прежде всего за вашу инициативу встретиться на пути в Вашингтон.
First of all, for your initiatives that we meet on my way to Washington.
И Великобританию, и своих союзников, и ваших партнеров.
Yes, you recalled that the road to the agreement, which we have come very close to signing the agreement on the elimination of 2 kinds of nuclear weapons, was not an easy one, but we have covered this road together. I mean, all together, the Soviet Union, the United States, Great Britain, our allies, and your partners.
Looking beyond INF, Mrs. Thatcher told Mr. Gorbachev that she is flatly opposed to further nuclear arms cuts in Europe before East and West have tackled chemical weapons and conventional forces. On long-range strategic weapons, she has a proposal of her own for breaking the deadlock caused by Star Wars. She explained it at a news conference. It would require the Americans and Russians to keep to the anti-ballistic missile treaty for at least 7 years, to agree not to deploy without further negotiation, and meanwhile to inform each other of the purposes and results of their research as they go along.
I think the information about what each is doing, you see, if someone says, look, we're researching on SDI, the Soviets, as we know, have been doing now, and they say they have, it does help if you know what kind of research is going on. I think to feel insecure is not good for the cause of peace. So at every stage, you've got to get that security and respect the other person's desire, need to defend themselves and to feel that they are secure behind their own defense. That's what we expect. Therefore, we must apply the same feelings to other people.
An American correspondent brought up human rights. Had the Prime Minister raised with Mr. Gorbachev yesterday's punch-up in Moscow, when KGB men attacked Soviet dissidents and Western reporters.
No, I did not. We were on the very broad issues, as I've indicated the whole time. And when you're translating, this is why I say 2 hours is much too short, because part of it, of course, was also over lunchtime. So I did not bring up that particular incident. I spoke about the generality of human rights. May I say this to you? From time to time, there are things, and that was tragic. One must keep the broad progress and the direction of the progress in mind, and not sacrifice the progress and the possibility of further progress and increased progress.